After checking our seat meter, I would like to go one more step to the bottom to our gauge wheels and seat disc. First, I would like to remove our gauge wheel and the gauge wheel arm, in this case by loosening that bolt in here. For older Tempel models, we have a pin in front of the arm, which you easily can remove with a plier. Here you need a 22mm nut to loose this bolt. We can take off the bolt. And now we can also take off the arm and the axle of the arm. Taking a look at the gauge wheel here, we have our rubber which touches the seat disc to clean it. We should take a look if the rubber is worn out in here and we may have to replace the rubber. We can replace only the rubber by loosening all the screws here of the rim and placing in the rubber. Now we see our seat disc and the scraper. We can check if the scraper is worn down, so we have to remove and replace it. Now I will only remove it so I can get to the seat disc. For the seat disc, we have to check the wear out. We can measure the diameter of the disc if it's worn down, or we can use a business card test to see how close the seat disc come together in the front. I will take now 2 business cards out of my pocket. I will take one from the bottom side until it gets stuck. And I will take one from the upper side until it gets stuck. We should have around 2 up to 5 centimeters between the business cards where the seat disc touch together. Here we see that's a new machine. It looks fine. In case we have less than 2 centimeters touching the discs together, we can remove at first the cover here. Loosening the nut, here we have to take care, we have left and right side thread. In this case we have left side thread, so the nut will always turn fast in turning direction of the seat disc. We also see a little arrow here on that nut because here we have left thread, so we always see the arrow turning in that direction. We have to fasten the nut. We need a 24mm in this case to loose it. Take off the nut, and now we can take off the complete seat disc. So, behind the seat disc we see one big washer and 3 small millimeter washers. If we have the case that the seat disc are not touching more than 2 centimeters in the front, we may remove one of these washers, only to put 2 in here. Put the big washer back again. Put also the seat disc back again. I will not do it now. And then it's really important to put that washer in front of the bearing of the seat disc. When having the seat disc off, we can also take a look at our seat tube and seat coulter here. For the seat coulter, it's important that it can move to the right side, so it's always centered between both seat disc. We see here our wear plates. They should protect actually the seat tube before wear if the discs are turning. If those are fine. And we should check the seat tube if we see any visible damages on that one. And if you take off the glove, you can put your finger in here and you should check if there's a little nub or a little hole inside here. that might be happened if the seat discs are worn out too much in diameter, that one is touching the ground and we get a little corner and seats are not going to the stop wheel, they are moving out of the furrow and be on the wrong placement. In this case you have to replace the seat coulter. Now I would also take a look at our stop wheel. First of all, move it, so we check the bearing and see if you have any visible damages on the stop wheel. For 3-point mounted machines it's important to remove that bolt and loosen that bolt on storage season, so we do not get a flat tire standing all over the storage season on that wheel. Now I would like to place the seat disc again. First of all we have to check our small millimeter washers. We have now 2, in this case we need 3 behind the bearing because we have a brand new disc. The big washer. We also can check here the axle if we see some wear out on the axle. If we see wear on the axle, we can easily remove the axle. You see here a thread inside the arm and replace it with a new one. We recommend, if we put in a new seat disc, to put some grease on the axle, due to the fact that it's easier to remove the seat disc sometime again if you have to replace it. Now we take the seat disc, the nut, like before mentioned, keep in mind left and right thread. So always fasten in turning direction of the seat disc and tighten the nut. Put on the cover and replace the scraper. Like mentioned before, check the scraper if it worn out. So if you cannot see this angle in here, you should replace the complete scraper on both sides. Now we have our gauge wheel arm. Here we have the axle. And inside the arm we have 2 sealings, left and right side, and 2 plastic bushings inside. We can check the sealings and the bushing. And before mounting we should put some grease here on the axle and inside the bushings. Put the axle in again. And place it here and screw it with the bolt. If we take now a look at the gauge wheel, we have the possibility by loosening that screw to adjust the distance between the gauge wheel and the seat disc. If we turn the gauge wheel, the seat disc, like in that case, should also move sometimes a bit, so we know that the rubber of the wheel is close enough to the seat disc. Here with the long hole we should check if all gauge wheels are in the same position, so we always reach the same seating depth. And if we have the scraper on the gauge wheel, we can check the position from the scraper to the gauge wheel and adjust with that 2 bolts in here. Now I would like to talk about worn out parts again, so we know when we have to replace them. Starting with the seat coulter, here we only have a new one. Take care about those plates here on the side and about the tube if it has any damages, or the outlet here if it's worn out due to too small seat disc. The axle of the seat disc. You see here now also the thread. You can replace that. Here we see the C-links and bushings of the gauge wheel arm, and also we have them in our parallel linkage of the row unit. 2 C-links and the bushings. Here we nearly see the same. In a little bit smaller C-links, those are the C-links and bushings from the closing wheel arm. And also the axle which is inside. Sometimes if you see a long hole in here, it might be that the closing wheels are not straight to the seat furrow, so that is worn out and you have to replace it. The scraper, here we see our new version of scraper. You see the arm and the scraper are one part, a heavy duty part, compared to here a worn out scraper, the old version. You see if that angle here is gone, you have to replace them. Same here if that angle has gone. At least our seat disc. We can take the measurements. A new disc has 380 mm. An old disc gets smaller and we should replace them. It is less than 365 mm. I guess you see here easily the difference if we put them towards each other.